All right, so here is a calorimeter. This is called a combustion calorimeter. I'd call it a bomb calorimeter is what I would call this. But look down below, what do we have? We've got our little sample dish inside here where we could run our reaction. It has a little heating chamber, heating coil inside it, right? So that we can get it started and get it ignited and burning in there. And then once it's burning or once the reaction has started, what's going to happen? The energy is going to be released into this water, and you can see the thermometer on the side here is going to be used to measure the temperature change. So Nora, this kind of goes back to your question. So what could we do here? We could take the initial temperature, start the reaction, take a final temperature after the reaction has ran, and the change in temperature between the two, we can then use Q equals MC delta T to convert back into a temperature, right? And we can actually see, into a heat. And we can actually see how the temperature change relates to the Q, the heat that is released in this reaction. Does that make sense? So that's all we're trying to show you here is this is what a bomb calorimeter would look like. Like I said, if we were in class, we would build one of these and use one of these in class. Sadly, we're not, so we'll have to just do this virtually. So now we get into calculating the enthalpy of reaction. So this is the delta H F for reaction, right? R. The first thing we have to know there is Hess's law, right? And Hess's law is kind of complex, but it's really simple in the end because really all it is it says that the overall enthalpy change for a reaction is equal to the sum of all of the enthalpy changes for individual steps. So as long as we can figure out, or as long as we're given information about each of the different steps in a reaction, then we can go ahead and figure out the overall enthalpy for that reaction. Cool. Notice down below it points out that the energy change or the energy difference between the reactants and the products is independent of the route that is taken to get there, the route that is taken to get there. Okay. So Hess's law basically says that given information about the intermediate parts, we can add that up or we can total that together to make it the sum of the whole, the whole process. So again, if we know the enthalpies for reaction for each of the individual steps, then we should be able to calculate and apply Hess's law to calculate it all, right? Down below, we're going to work through a calculation for the enthalpy of formation for methane gas, CH4, from its elements. So look, here is the reaction that we're trying to get to. Carbon in the solid form reacts with hydrogen in the gaseous form to produce some methane, CH4, in the gaseous form. And the question they're asking you is, what is the delta H F naught for this? So look, a table in the back of your book would give you the component parts here, right? So here we can find the delta HC naught, so the change in enthalpy for combustion for carbon burning in oxygen, hydrogen burning in oxygen, and methane burning in oxygen. And look, it gives us these values over here for the delta H for each of those. So how could we figure out just the methane, right? Essentially what we want to do is we want to pull out carbon, hydrogen, and methane and leave or get rid of all of this water and carbon dioxide and all this stuff here, right? We want to get rid of all that stuff. So how could we possibly do that? Well, we need to play with these equations until we get to this equation, right, that we started with. So we need to manipulate these equations until we can get to that other one. So we need to flip things around or multiply by 2 or multiply by 6 or divide by 1 or whatever it happens to be that we need to do. Jeez, I don't know what's up with my computer. Did I go too far? Yeah, there we go. All right, so here we go. So we're dealing with formation. So the combustion is going to be reversed, and its enthalpy is going to be turned to positive. So look, here was that first reaction was methane plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water, and it had a negative 890.8 kilojoules. So what we did here is we flipped it around, right? So now the things that were the products, the carbon dioxide and the water, now those are the reactants, and now we have methane as a product, right, with some oxygen. Well, that's great because that's what we're trying to get to, right, is we want methane to be the product that's produced. All right, let's keep on going here. We see that there's 2 moles of water that are used in that reaction that we just looked at, right? 2 moles of water. So we need to get 2 moles of water on the product side to cancel that out, right? So here we go. Here we're just taking our water one and multiplying by 2, And now we would have 2 waters as products from this equation and 2 waters as reactants in this equation. Does that make sense? So then what's next? Now we're going to go ahead and just start adding those 3 equations together. So here's the first one, right? And we only want to have the carbon, right? We don't want to have oxygen or carbon dioxide. Now here's the hydrogen, and again, we only want the hydrogen. We don't want any oxygen. We don't want any water. And then lastly, there's our flipped around equation that we had, right? So here's our carbon dioxide, our water, our methane, and our 2 O2s. So think about this real fast. Here we have 2 oxygens in the products. Well, how did we cancel these 2 oxygens out? Oh, we used the first oxygen from the C plus O2 and the second oxygen from the the 2H2 plus O2. Those 2 oxygens are now canceling out this oxygen over here. What about the carbon dioxide? Well, this carbon dioxide from the third equation cancels out the carbon dioxide from the first equation. The water, 2 waters from the third equation cancels out the 2 waters from the second equation, right? And so now what are we left with after we've canceled all of those like species out? We're left with carbon plus 2 hydrogens yields some methane, right? That's all we have left after all of those 3 reactions have been added together and canceled. And so now what does that mean? That means now that we can go ahead and just total this up over here. And we should get our final answer there of negative 74.3 kilojoules total. And remember there that we're taking our products minus our reactants. So you're taking negative 890.8 minus negative 293.5 minus another 2 negative 285.8. And if you do that, you're going to end up with your overall delta HF of the methane of negative 74.3 kilojoules. Cool. I know that's kind of complex. I'm hoping it kind of makes some sense. Hess's law just allows you to take the individual parts of a reaction and add them up to get the overall reaction. Yeah, so again, we can do it for any substance of interest without knowing anything else about how the reaction occurs. You just need to be able to find the different component parts and cancel them out. Overall, enthalpy of reaction will always be in the form of the following equation. And again, that is the delta H at standard conditions is always going to be the sum of the products times the moles minus the sum of the reactants times the moles, right? So you have to think about the moles of products, the moles of reactants, and the delta H's for those various things. Guys, excuse me just one second. I need to get some water. Sorry about that. I was just getting dry mouth. I hear somebody's unmuted. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Mr. McConnell, so just say you want to double one part or just say one reactant, you wouldn't necessarily have to double the other reactant, right?
No, you don't have to. Like, I'll go back to this. So here we doubled the water, but we did not have to double the carbon, right? And that's because we didn't need to double the carbon.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Okay, so it's not like algebra.
It's not like an algebraic system, no. You have to think about the moles that are involved, right?
Okay, thank you.
So look, here's another sample problem, and just like before, guys, I'm not going to go through and do this one with you, but look, it says, calculate the enthalpy of reaction for the combustion of nitrogen monoxide gas, NO, to form nitrogen dioxide gas, NO2, as given in the following equation. So there this is, and what's it say? It tells you, hey, use the data from your book, that index that I was talking about, to solve by combining the thermochemical equations, right? So what are you going to go through and do? You're going to go find the delta H for oxygen, for NO, and for NO2, and then you're going to combine those equations that you find, that data that you find, into this equation that you have here, right? So you're going to go through the same process that we just did where you're canceling things and adding stuff together. They do it all for you right here, so there's your data, right? And so you're going to go through and use Hess's law to do this. So there's Hess's law. There's the different parts we need. Look, it tells you where to reverse it, etc. Right? So like I'm flying through this because I want you to look at this on your own. Okay? But you can see what they've done there is they've switched one around And now they've combined them to get the final answer. All right, let's do one more of these here. So here is determining the enthalpy of formation, right? Determining the enthalpy of formation. So when carbon is burned in a limited supply of oxygen, carbon monoxide is produced. There it is. So look, it tells us that this reaction has two parts. Dang, I don't know what's up with that. It has two parts. The first part is carbon is going to be oxidized to form carbon dioxide. And then the carbon dioxide is going to be reduced to give just carbon monoxide. So we already know there's two parts or two steps to this reaction. Okay, so we can't just measure their enthalpy of reaction. So what do we have to do instead? We have to figure this out using Hess's law, because we do know the enthalpy of formation of carbon dioxide and the enthalpy of combustion of carbon monoxide, and so we can combine those to figure out the enthalpy of formation here. Okay, so there is our enthalpy of formation for carbon dioxide. We see that it's a negative 393.5 kilojoules. That tells me that this is exothermic and would release that energy, right? Down below here, we see that we've got carbon monoxide reacting with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide as well. Well, so obviously, I hope people look at this and recognize, like, oh, what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to flip one of those around, right? So there we go. We reverse the second equation. So now we've reversed that second equation. So now we can get rid of that carbon dioxide, right? And now what are we left with? Now we've got carbon plus O2, and on the other side, we've got a half of an O2. So that's going to cancel out some of that there, and we're going to be left with carbon plus 1/2 O2, or C plus O, right, is going to leave us with CO. And so now what do? We're going to go ahead and combine those over there, and we can see that our difference is going to be negative 110.5 kilojoules, right? So think about what we did there. We did products, and then we took away the reactants away from that. And so we should be able to combine those to get this final answer. This is Hess's law. Yes, sir.
Cross out the 1/2 O2 with?
Say again.
What did you cross out the 1/2 O2 with exactly?
Yeah, so look, we've got a whole 1 O2 over here, right? Mm-hmm. On the top equation, we've got a 1 O2. Sorry, you probably can't see me moving my mouse there. So on the top equation, we've got a whole O2. And on the bottom equation, we've got a half O2. So obviously that half O2 would cancel out one of the half O2s from above and leave you with just half an O2. Does that make sense?
Okay, 100%.
Yep. Cool. So there that is. I would encourage you guys to look through that in more detail on your own. This is just showing you the graph of what's going on here, right? And how we know that we've got a negative 393.5. So look, in this case, we know that we've got just going from the CO2 up to the CO and 1/2 oxygen, that's going to require a positive 283 kilojoules. But to make the changes from the carbon and oxygen, that's going to require another negative 110. And then combining those two together gets us to our total answer of negative 393.5 kilojoules of energy that will be required. Cool, so that's just graphically trying to show you what you just solved here. Here's another sample problem. And again, I'm not going to go through this one. So here's this, So here's the givens. You're given this information and you're trying to get to the delta H F naught for that equation you've got there, 5C plus 6H2 plus 5, or yields 5CH12, right? So you're trying to combine these using Hess's law. And again, I'm not going to go through this one, but I would encourage you to give this a try on your own and get those answers. And look, there we are at the end of section 16.1 all the way to 16.2. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull down my presentation there and come back over to my screen. So look, oops, sorry, wrong place here, guys. So look, here's the schedule that I put up for everybody today. And today is May 31st. Let me make it a little bigger maybe in case that helps you guys see. So look, what did I want to do today? I wanted to go through 16.1. I've done that. I know there's a lot of information in there. So look, I'm trying to say, I think you should look through your book, read or skim through these pages in 16.1. Then I would also really strongly suggest that you spend some time looking at the 4 Edpuzzle videos that I've put up. I put up 2 videos about specific heat, a video about enthalpy of formation, and then a video that is nothing but enthalpy practice problems. I would encourage you to watch them in that order, okay? That's about 25 minutes of video. So